Hello once again, and welcome back to the High School Sports Beat. I'm Dave Yates. It is time now for the High School Notebook, and that, of course, means it is time for Matt Trabold. Matt, thanks for coming on board once again.
Thanks for having me on.
Hey, as we are talking right now, as we are taping this show, it is actually day one for most high schools in Section 5 to get sports going. Pretty exciting stuff. What are some of the things you're hearing, and what are some of the things that are kind of like they're gearing up for?
Yeah, so like we have been saying on the show the last few weeks, developments in 2020, 2021, Section 5, high school sports, they're happening frequently. They're coming all the time. And that's why I really like talking about it with you here. So that is the understandable nature of it, really, with it being a historic pandemic. You understand why these organizations are making these changes because everything is changing in the world around them. So one of those big developments or big pieces of news in local high school sports of late was the Rochester City School District, which is universal remote learning for the first 10 weeks of the school year, which is a big factor in why they made this decision. So they're moving all fall sports, regardless of risk category, to that hopeful spring date of March 1st. So with that news, really the first team that popped in my head of many very relevant ones was that Rich Poffler's World of Increte boys soccer team. And that program has really not been around for that long, even just over the last few years. When you really think of, compared to other programs, it's still pretty much in its infancy in terms of years and years and years. So, I mean, the Griffins, though, already a mainstay, winning sectional titles and getting to the state Final Four in Middletown. They always have star power. Isaac Hakizimana, the little brother of Toy Hakizimana, who was a big player for them when they got very deep in states not too long ago. He was a junior last season, so that's kind of someone who will be waiting around probably for that senior campaign. And as for the conferences who will be giving it a go in soccer and other lower-risk sports this fall, like you were mentioning a second ago, a possible start date for games being discussed is Saturday, October 10th for the Monroe County League. And then leagues that are starting practice a week earlier than them really could be beginning games as early as Friday, October 2nd. So we have really that more substance as far as the season coming back than practices is that games. That's what people are really gearing up for in terms of what they want to see, highlights and such. So that's coming around pretty soon here. Those dates are not quite set in stone yet, but the fact that we're even talking about that being just in a couple weeks here is a big deal. Soccer is great in this area, as are those other sports in those risk categories. So it'll be very fun to see.
Well, one of the sports that won't be kicking off, so to speak, with the rest of the sports is, of course, football. But a couple of guys from Section 5 in the college ranks right now, they're playing and they're making some headlines.
Yeah, so with college football opening up more and more here, we're talking about Big Ten right before we came on. We're recording. So we're starting to see notable performances out of former Section 5 players now at the Division I FBS level. Most notably, former Pittsford and current Liberty running back Josh Mack. What a success story he was last year in his first season with Liberty as a redshirt junior. He was down the depth chart a little bit to begin the season, but then he got single-digit carries in the first 3 games, but then worked his way to becoming a reliable offensive standout as the season progressed. He ended last season with 792 rushing yards, 7 rushing touchdowns, and 136 carries. Very nice numbers there. Then this season, in the season opener versus Western Kentucky, he reached triple digits in rushing for the 4th time in his Flames career, started at the FCS level and Maine. So he had 100 yards against the Hilltoppers on 23 carries in a win. So then, staying kind of in that general area, Sun Belt Conference at Arkansas State, there's another starter who hails from Rochester and long snapper and former Fairport Red Raider, Seth Cottengim. At least one top-flight national college football outlet, Phil Steele's, really one of those outlets you're like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about with college football. So he named him first-team All-Sun Belt after last season with what he did, and then second-team All-Sun Belt coming into this year. And his Red Wolves are coming off a big upset of a Big 12 opponent in Kansas State. So you like to see those guys from around here doing it big at that highest level of college football.
All right, great stuff, Matt. As always, man, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I just wanted to say really quick, rest in peace to Jarvis Alexander and Jaquayla Young.